people who need a dental intervention, and gentlemen. I'll also tell you, first, right off the bat, I'll tell you to check the links underneath the video. I've got one new link under there. The rest of them, just pay attention to the screenshots that go by. I've been over this all before. No Reference Rants hasn't. One thing No Reference Rants has mastered is the art of regurgitation. Every few months or so, he'll regurgitate the same gun control nonsense that I refuted him on years ago, and it goes on ad nauseum. His video on so-called Ammosexuals is no exception. I also have to wonder, where are the references for his talking points? He has none, of course, because he's copying from Think Progress or the Brady campaign. Brownie says,
we have mass shootings on a regular basis in schools and shopping malls and movie theaters.
Actually, that's not true, Brownie. See the videos coming up on your screen. I've already been over this a few times. This isn't your 5, 6, or 7 minute unreferenced thump your chest-a-thon. This is real data, which oddly No Reference Rants fails to provide. As I've covered with actual data, mass shootings are not up significantly. The increase for mass shootings involving 3 or more victims over the past 3 decades is statistically insignificant. Even if mass shootings were up, if the overall violent crime and homicide rate goes down, wouldn't that be a good thing? As I asked the vacuous Other Dude Productions, who is a Wikipedia copier and a friend of No Reference Rants, I asked him if the percentage of homicides committed with a gun spike, but the homicide rate overall goes down, wouldn't that be a good thing? They don't think of that. Of course, they're just trying to find sheep that, yes, men and women that nod for them. Being autistically obsessed, as No Reference Rants is, with mass shootings, ignores the larger picture. Violent crime and homicide is much lower now than it was in the 1970s, 80s, or 1990s. Doesn't he know this? Why doesn't he have any links to the data in his rambling screed? Why didn't any of his sheep call him out on this? If mass shootings are not spiking significantly and the violent crime rate, as well as the homicide rate, is significantly down from the late 1980s and early 1990s, what is Brownie talking about? He's just hoping he can yell louder than anyone who has looked at the data. In 3 or 4 months, he'll regurgitate this cut and paste again. Youth homicides and youth homicides at school aren't going anywhere. In fact, youth homicides and youth homicides committed at school are down significantly from the early 1990s. I covered that in my Demand a Plan to End Gun Violence video, Response to the Mentally Ill. Over 30 states since the early 1990s have added shall issue concealed carry laws to the books. We don't quite have 1 gun per person, as Brownie says, and I have the data for that in my videos. But we're almost there, but he doesn't tell us where he's getting his data from, but it's likely he's watched my videos and is copying from me. No Reference Rants takes a moment to pick on Texas.
So when a group of gun-toting rednecks march into a department store or a Starbucks, armed to the teeth with AR-15s, do they not think a few people might just freak out a little bit? Sure, what they're doing is legal in states like Texas, of course.
I'm wondering, what does No Reference Rants think of the fact that Vermont, which has required no permit to conceal carry since the mid-1980s, Vermont, Alaska, Arkansas, Wyoming, and Arkansas require no permit to conceal carry a firearm. Is Vermont too white for No Reference Rants? 42 states either require no permit to conceal carry, which I realize is different from open carry, or are 42 states either require no permit to conceal carry or are shall issue, which means you'll probably get a permit unless you have a history of domestic abuse you don't brush your teeth. Excuse me, history of domestic abuse, or a penchant for assaulting people after a night of binge drinking. I also find it amusing that No Reference Rants flaps his teeth and gums about rednecks, but again ignores the fact that the lion's share of homicide in these United States is committed by blacks. From 1980 to 2008, blacks were an average of 12.6% of the population, just over 1/8 for you math challenged like you know Reference Rants. Blacks were just over 12.6% of the population, yet committed 52.6% of the homicide in these United States. Are those the rednecks you're talking about, old man? Blacks were also victimized 47.4% of the time, which means black on black crime, black on black homicide is the most common form of homicide in these United States. Are those the rednecks you're talking about, old man? Then this dumbass says,
and brandishing military-style weapons in public where there is absolutely no need to goes way beyond their First Amendment protections to peaceably protest by merging into an ominous, sneering intimidation of innocent people.
I've already covered that in my Old Fart Rants doesn't know what an assault weapon is video. In that video, I asked No Reference Rants on several occasions what he meant when he employed the term assault weapon. And I have all the screenshots as well. Apparently, he still doesn't know. I asked him several times and he just threw a temper tantrum. He didn't know what he meant, and he didn't even know what the Clinton administration meant when they implemented it. Fact is, and watch the video, I go over it in detail, that so-called assault weapons ban has more to do with cosmetic features and less to do with the destructive ability of the weapon. No Reference Rants didn't know that, and of course he's hoping you don't find out either. Do you think those American citizens who were murdered with drone attacks feel lucky? I'll close with a quick quiz for No Reference Rants. We'll see how long it takes him to Google an answer.
Are you feeling lucky, punks? Good luck with that. But if you insist, go ahead, give it a shot. Pun intended. Because that will be the last we will ever hear from you.